بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Last week I started discussing with you all financial development, which is actually my area of expertise. Just to give you a hint or background for those who were not with us last week, I was saying that because of the pandemic, there is a lot of financial and economical impact on all of us. The uncertainty from one side, where we do not know what's going on and what will happen to our jobs and to our businesses and to our finance. What is the future actually is hiding for us? Nobody knows. The situation actually is very unpredictable, very unpredictable. Again, we do not have enough data to make like a data-driven decision regarding our finance. Maybe some of us already have lost their jobs, or they still actually having job, but they have been like working on a part-time basis instead of full-time basis. Maybe some of us did not get paid. So I started actually discussing with you last week some of the advices that we need to take into consideration. Just a quick reminder. I was saying, okay, general advices for individuals and investors. I talked already about keep enough cash, and the impact, actually the benefit of having enough cash in the time of recession, and the fact that if we do not have enough cash, then the first thing to do is to compromise the assets and the investment that you have, which is something you are not supposed to do. Invest internationally. Do not limit yourself to the stock market in the US, regardless of what kind of investment you are talking about, whether it is individual retirement account or brokerage account or simple investment account or 429 for the education of your kids, or 401k or 403, or maybe pension plan, whatever the platform or the kind of investment might be. If it is your choice, do not limit yourself to the US stock market. Rather, you should invest internationally. Diversify your investment in a sense that although you have to limit yourself to stocks only, bonds are not an option for you. But even within the stocks option, do not limit yourself to one industry. Okay, do not invest in education only. Do not invest in medicine or in software or engineering only. Rather, you should diversify your investment, because you do not know which of those industries actually will continue, will recover, will flourish, and which one of them will be going down. So diversification of investment actually is a good idea. We discussed already that you should live below your means. You should live below your means. Always train yourself and your family members to spend based on what you need, not based on what you have. To spend based on what you need and not based on what you have. Maybe we parents and grandparents are like good enough, conservative enough when it comes to spending, because we have gone through a lot of bad financial experiences in our life. But our kids nowadays, actually, or the vast majority of them, do not appreciate the money that they have, and they spend, unfortunately, most of them based on what they have and not based on what they need. When you live below your means, it means that you are able to save. A very simple example: you make $5,000 every month take home amount. You spend 5,000. If you want to live below your means, then you can definitely squeeze your budget a little bit by just putting $100 or $200 a month. It might be something like trivial or insignificant, but believe me, it builds up. $100 every month means $1,200 every year, means big amount of money as you go. So live below your means and do not save, but invest. When you save, you put that $100 aside. Okay, it does not grow because you are not investing it. So put it aside and invest it right away. Invest it, and I will be talking about like several investment opportunities. Moving on, pay off expensive debts. Pay off expensive debts. I'll give you an example. You opened a credit card, okay, and you kept spending during the introductory period with no interest. You limited yourself to the minimum payment, $40, $50, whatever. And then you came to a point where the introductory period is almost over. You have only 1 month to pay the outstanding balance, let's say $30,000, right? You have 1 month to secure $30,000 to pay it off to avoid interest. And somehow you had at that time $30,000 cash. Okay, you had $30,000 cash. Now you have two different options, and you have to decide. You can either pay off your credit card, or otherwise invest those $30,000 somewhere else with the hope that you will be making at least 25% profit to pay 25% profit, so you can make some profit and then you pay off your credit card. Now, my question to you, which decision you should make? Here is the answer. Is there any guarantee that if you invest those $30,000 somewhere else, that within 1 or 2 months you will be able to make a profit 25+%? My answer is no guarantee. No guarantee. If you decide to invest in this very critical time, it means that you are jeopardizing your principal. Well, you might not make any profit whatsoever, believe it or not. You might even lose your principal. So, in this critical circumstances, do not take any risk. Do not take any risk, because if you decide to pay off your expensive debt, which is the credit card, you are having a peace of mind that there is no interest. Outstanding balance is 30,000. I'm paying 30,000. I'm just good to go. If you take the risk of investing those $30,000 somewhere else with the hope that you will be making at least 25% profit, you might make profit, you might not. I mean, I can't predict the future, but it's not a good decision because you are taking a big risk. To have a peace of mind, do it right, pay off your expensive debts, and do not take any risk. Track your spending. You might realize once in a while that the outstanding balance, or the monthly statement, if you wish, of your credit card is more than usual. Usually it's between $1,700 to $2,000, between like gas, groceries, healthcare, you name it. And then all of a sudden, you found out at a certain month that the total amount to spend, whether by yourself or by your spouse or by your kids, if you are like all sharing or joining using the same credit card, or the amount is 2,200. Well, you might let it go, which is not a good idea, by the way, because if you let it go, it will become like a pattern. Okay, there will become. I mean, it will be like a precedence. So it did happen. You did not pay attention to, and then next month when you see 2,200, well, I mean, it will be normal for you. And then for the third month, it will become the norm that, oh, you spend 2,200. Well, it is not a good idea. You need to stop everything in your hand and to find out where are those $200 have been spent. Who is the one who spent that money? Of course, I mean, you are not interrogating your family members, but you are investigating the issue, okay, just to make sure that your money has been spent wisely, has been spent for something that is necessary, or something that your family members actually were in need for, and that all those transactions were authorized transactions. There was no fraudulent transaction or transactions. What should you do in this case? I would highly recommend that you track your spending. Track your spending means to break down your monthly budget. To break down your monthly budget. How much you spend for merchandise? Take a note. Okay, how much you usually spend, and for this particular month where you experienced $200 extra payment, how much you usually spend for merchandise, okay, and how much you spend for this particular month. Dining, groceries, entertainment, gas, automotive, car rental, lodging, utility bills, you name it, and find out exactly under which category those $200 were spent. Maybe one of your kids is just feeling free using the credit card, just swiping it every time everywhere and just spending money because oh Baba will not pay attention. Well, you should be extra careful and track that payment. Find out where is the leakage actually is coming from, who is spending and why he is spending, and whether or not that spending was, or that payment or that transaction was an authorized one, okay, trackable one. You know exactly who paid it and for what and why he paid it, and whether or not was it within your budget to start with. Believe me, if you show that kind of seriousness, okay, an investigation where you ask your spouse and your kids, Baba, who spent those $200, okay, and why you spend them, if you believe that expense was not a good decision, I assure you all that next month your kids will take it more seriously. Okay, they will count to 100 before they just spend any extra dollar because you are on top of everything. Do not be do not be stingy. Do not get me wrong. Do not be like miser and stingy individual, but you need to be conservative. Conservative means serious enough in spending money. And this is actually an Islamic practice. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَكُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا وَلَا تُسْرِفُوا. لا تُسْرِفُوا means in a very simple language, do not lead an extravagant lifestyle. Do not lead an extravagant lifestyle. Spend based on what you need, not based on what you have. Another advice: review your credit report. Review your credit report means that make sure that your credit scores are as high as possible. If you are now in the range of 650 or 700, why do not you make it 750? If you are 750, why do not you jump to 800? I mean, what does it take, to increase your credit scores and to clean your credit history? Why should you review your credit report? Well, the higher your credit scores are, the more possibility you will be getting a good deal whenever there is a chance. Say that you want to refinance for your house, of course, in an Islamic way. If your scores are 800 plus, you will get the profit rate maybe 3%. But if your credit scores are only 650, you will be getting 5% profit. You see how much you can save money because your credit actually is excellent. Let me tell you this: the more you apply for credit cards, or the more you apply for loans, you went to the car dealership, you wanted to buy a car, okay, and the agent told you, okay, I need to run your credit, right? And if you give him the information and he runs your credit, that's called inquiry. Inquiry, it will be added up to your credit history, and more inquiries actually you have in your record, the less scores you will be having. In other words, those inquiries are against you, are not for you. Again, the more you apply for new credit cards and the more you apply for any finance opportunity, the more inquiries will be reported, will be recorded in your credit history. And that credit, those inquiries will push back, will decrease in a sense your credit score. You do not know how many inquiries you have in your report. You do not know. For now, if I ask you a question, is there any outstanding balance, unpaid outstanding balance in your credit report? Your answer is, I do not know. And if you ask me, I will be answering the same, I'll be having the same answer. I do not know whether or not there is an outstanding balance or how many inquiries that I have. Okay, what is the solution? Solution is either or. Either you have an access to your credit report through those three different credit bureaus, and you go ahead and try to clean up those inquiries and pay off any outstanding balance. It's a very, very exhausting and very tiring process. I have done it through it maybe once or twice. Now, this is one option. The other option is to hire a credit card expert. Credit card expert. You give him $300-400. You give him an access to your credit report. Give him an access to your credit report. He can just dispute a lot of inquiries and a lot of outstanding balances and just cleanse or clean up your credit history. I did this myself. I brought like someone who's expert in credit card and credit reports, and I paid him, I don't know how much now. I don't remember. And I gave him an access to my credit report, and he went ahead and just cleansed all those inquiries, disputed a lot of like outstanding balances. It could be like an innocent mistake. Okay, could be a payment of maybe $2 or $3 that you forgot to pay 5 years ago, right? Okay. And it has been gone already to your credit report. You are not aware of it. Well, bring somebody else who's expert enough. The job that you can do in 10 hours, 10 hours of work, you can do it in half an hour. You see, so it's worth the investment. Give him $200-300 and let him just clean up your credit report. What is the benefit? Again, you will be on top of everything. You will be like more eligible and more qualified than others to jump in any like business or any finance, of course, halal finance opportunity, especially refinance, for example. The higher your credit might be, the higher your credit is, the lower the interest rate or the profit rate actually will be. Next advice, check out your financial advisor. And again, it might be your choice if you have individual retirement account, if you have simple investment account, if you have brokerage account, you just open it independently through Vanguard or through Fidelity, for example, right? You need to spend some time to check the right financial advisor. That is your job. So do not go to just Yellow Pages and pick the first financial advisor and hire him or her to do the job for you. This is actually wrong. There are certain databases available online for you to check the qualification and the experience and the review of any potential financial advisor that you want to hire. You can go to FINRA, FINRA, that's Financial Industry Regulatory Authorities broker check. Broker check. You just go to the broker check and type the name of your potential financial advisor and see what kind of reviews actually he or she has. And again, it's worth the investment because your job is to hire the right person to be your wealth manager or your financial advisor. And after that, from that point on, that is absolutely his or her job. Make sure your investments are safe. It's absolutely correct. If you have a broker or a bank account, make sure it is insured by the FDIC, by the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. Most probably 99% of our checking accounts are insured by the FDIC. And if you have a brokerage account, make sure it is insured by the Securities Investor Protection Corporation or the SIPC. Just double check before you open any investment account. Do not try to predict the future. Do not try to predict the future means that even if you have been investing in the stock market for the last 5-7 years, with all due respect, it does not mean that you have enough tools to make a decision. It does not mean that you have enough tools to make a decision. Yes, you have been investing for a long period of time, but you do not have personally enough experience. You have hired someone to run your account in your behalf, but you yourself actually is not expert enough. So do not try to, as they say nowadays, to challenge the authority. The authority actually is your financial advisor. Let him do the job. Your job is to hire the right person, and then from that point on, that's actually his job. Let him just make a decision. So financial advisors often hear from clients who would like to sell stocks now and then buy again when the market hits bottom. Well, how did you know that it is now hitting the bottom? Okay. Do you have any data, any tools that you can make ijtihad or a data-driven decision that, oh, the market or the stock market is hitting the bottom today, so I have to get rid like of all what I have, or I have to buy like a new stocks because now the price is to the minimum, or you know what, I want to just get rid of the securities that I have. Well, how did you know that it is now hitting the bottom? Or with all due respect, you are not expert enough to make that decision. Do not stop contributing your 401k. That's a very, very valid point. Uh, I came across actually a lot of community members who do not have 401k to start with, who do not have 401k to start with, who do not have 401k to start with. And when I ask him or her a question, "Akhi, why do not you have 401k?" The answer is, well, because there is no 100% Sharia compliant investment in the stock market. All those financial securities actually are contaminated with riba, with interest, with bonds and interest bearing loans and different derivatives and futures and certain financial instruments that do involve haram. Okay. Well, first of all, Jazakallah khair for being like so conservative and so caring about the source of your investment and the source of your money and wealth. That's a good sign to start with. However, you do not. I mean, if you cannot have 100% Sharia compliant investment in the stock market, it does not mean that you have to compromise your 401k. As I always say, I want you, instead of getting lost with those tiny details, zoom out and look at the whole picture, the big picture. What is 401k? 401k actually is a federal program that has been set by the federal government to secure or to assure financial stability for yourself and for your family members during your lifetime and after long life, inshallah, after your death. After your death. You know how the system works here in the US. In case of disability, in case of sudden death, or if you like reach the age of retirement, 65 or 67, depends on what state you live in, you will be starting generating an annual, I'm sorry, a monthly income, monthly payment that you will be receiving, into your checking account from your 401k. So the whole program actually has been set for your best interest. Take advantage of the match that your employer actually is paying in your behalf. If you pay $50 every month, then your employer is paying another $50. Why don't you take advantage of that? By any chance, if you can purify, if you can make sure that your 401k, that your portfolio is 100% Sharia compliant one, of course, I mean you have to go with this option. But to be honest with you, there is nothing nowadays called 100% Sharia compliant investment. Whether you live in the US or live in Canada or Australia or in Saudi Arabia or in Jordan or in Mauritania, any place, anytime any place in the world nowadays, actually, you cannot find a pure 100% halal Sharia compliant investment, especially when it comes to stock market. So you need to be reasonable enough. You need to be reasonable enough and to keep your investment as halal as possible. Very simple example. You work for one of those like international companies, Chevron or Shell, right? And your financial advisor gave you 5 options: portfolio number 1, portfolio number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. Okay, you need to spend some time with your financial advisor to verify what's the difference between portfolio 1 and portfolio 2. By any chance, if you can choose portfolio that does not have any bonds whatsoever, go for it. Okay, now this is the first criteria. Now within the stocks options, by any chance, if you can verify what kind of companies, what kind of industries those stocks belong to? Are those stocks belong to financial institutions like conventional banks or mortgage companies or credit companies, or those stocks belong to medicine, transportation, education, entertainment? Or entertainment, you need to be careful. What kind of entertainment? Is it adult entertainment or something else? Right? Tourism. What kind of tourism we are talking about? So try to collect more data, more information, and then whatever you can do, go for it. If you can reach to a point where you are almost positive that 70% of your 401k or your retirement account is halal, and that is the best you can do, then that's the best you can do. Okay. Do not compromise your 401k because you cannot assure 100% Sharia compliant investment. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مَسْتَطَعْتُمْ فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مَسْتَطَعْتُمْ. Be conscious to your Lord as much as you can. Well, in the stock market, if bonds are not an option, most of the derivatives are very questionable, okay, and they are not an option for you. Okay, if you want to prohibit stocks, then what else you can invest in? Can you tell me? If you want to prohibit stocks, because every single stock actually is, mixed with a certain percentage of haram, whether that haram came from haram investment or haram assets or high debt asset ratio, whatever the reason behind the prohibition, there's a certain percentage, okay, of the stock coming from haram, right? Well, if you want to prohibit everything, all stocks, because they do have certain percentage of haram, then what else you can invest in? Please do not tell me that you do not have to invest in the stock market, because you will make it so hard for yourself and for others as well. And again, any kind of retirement account, with an individual retirement account, any kind of investment in the stock market, it means that you have stocks, right? Whether 401k, 403b, pension plan if you work for the city or the county or the government. What else? Brokerage account, simple investment account, individual retirement account, mutual, whatever the platform might be. At the end of the day, you are talking about stocks. Okay, so if stocks actually are to be prohibited by some of us, then what else we can invest in? Well, if you can do a direct investment by yourself, go for it. But I assure you all that direct investment is not an easy job. Direct investment means that you take the money and you buy a real estate and property, rental property, condominium or apartment, and you keep maintaining it, and you pay the tax and the insurance, and you take the pain of renting that apartment to a tenant, and God knows whether that tenant is good or bad, or whether he pays on time or not. That's the direct investment. And after a few years, you sell that apartment, you make some money, and you move on. That's a direct investment, right? Direct investment is not an option, for all of us. We do not have the talent, we do not have the ability, we do not have the eagerness, to get involved in business in a direct way. So the other option actually is to just open an investment account in the stock market. I've been talking for almost now half an hour. Let me see if I have. So usually people like to invest when the market is flying high and refrain when it is down. Okay. Last advice, and I will take questions after that. Do not make sudden moves. Do not make sudden moves. Again, when it comes to investing in the stock market, refrain from making extreme changes to your portfolio just because the financial markets are unstable. This is not. This should not be a driving factor. If you believe, if you always follow Yahoo Finance, and you feel your blood pressure goes up and down with the index going up and down, this actually does not mean that you should listen to your emotion and you make a decision because the market is unstable. Well, again, over and over, leave it to your financial advisor to make a decision on your behalf. Your job is to hire the right person to run your investment in the stock market. And once that is done, you just respectfully step aside and let him do his job. Do not challenge the authority. I've been talking for half an hour now, so I will open the floor for question and answer. I don't know how to track questions if there are any question here. I see live comments. Click here in the live comments, private chat. Maybe someone can help me, Imran or Mimzi. Did we receive any comment, any question? Can you share with me, please? Okay. Before I finish the broadcast, let me just double check with our team and see what's going on. That's the first time I'm using this software, so please excuse my ignorance. Mimzi, are you still there? Mimzi, Amran, Fatima?
Yeah, the only thing that I've learned how to do really is to do this. I'm working on trying to figure out where the questions are coming up. Give me just a second.
Okay, that's the live comments. Well, I do not know what's going on, why I'm not receiving any comments or questions, so I'm not to waste your time anymore. Let me just leave the studio and end the session, and inshallah, I will see you next week. Last chance before I saying any. Okay, so Mimsy is saying that she's not seeing any comment or any question. I think we good to go. Thank you so much. I'll see you inshallah next week. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.